Alright guys, mic check, 1 2 1 2. Let's get ready to science. So go ahead and close your MacBooks and open your notebooks to page 105. Close your MacBooks and open your notebooks to page 105. Hey guys, make sure you have your mouth and your nose covered by your mask. Make sure you have your mouth and your nose covered by your mask. Alright, so especially while I'm outside my bubble. When I go back in my bubble and y'all get ready to eat, that's a different thing. But right now, I'm out of the bubble. All right, guys and girls and guys. So far we have been talking about page 105. 105. So far we have been talking about the structure and function of the cell. Structure and function of the cell. We know that the cell is the basic unit of structure and function for all living organisms. The cell itself, there's 4 things that all cells must have. That is a plasma or cell membrane, cytoplasm, ribosomes, and genetic information. So we know that those are the 4 things that all cells must have. And some cells have more things on the inside than do others. We have 2 main types of cells. Those are prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. The prefix pro means what, class? Before. And what does karyote mean? Nucleus. So prokaryote means before the nucleus. What does the prefix U mean? True. So eukaryote means that there is a true nucleus. Alright, and so the nucleus itself is a cell organelle that is enclosed in a membrane called a nuclear envelope or a nuclear membrane. And that nuclear membrane has pores in it to allow things to enter and exit the nucleus. Inside of the nucleus is where you're going to find your genetic information. And we know that when that genetic information, which comes in the form of DNA in association with proteins, when it is in its relaxed form, we call it chromatin. When it is condensed, we call it chromosomes. And we can actually see the chromosomes. That's what when we get to our units later on, we'll be actually looking at what happens with those chromosomes during the cell cycle. Now, inside of the nucleus also, in the center of the nucleus, is another organelle called the nucleolus. And the nucleolus is where the ribosomal subunits are made, or the parts of the ribosome are made. DNA cannot leave the nucleus, but RNA can. And a ribosomal subunit is simply RNA in association with proteins as well. So it can leave the nucleus. When that ribosomal subunit leaves the nucleus, it goes to either the cytoplasm or the endoplasmic reticulum is where you can find the assembled subunits in the form of a ribosome. So the job of a ribosome is to join amino acids with peptide bonds, which simply means ribosomes make proteins. Now, ribosomes do not have a membrane around them. They're not considered membrane enclosed organelles. And we do have ribosomes in both prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Prokaryotic cells are simple cells, okay? These cells do not contain a lot of organelles. So prokaryotic cells, you're going to have your plasma membrane, you're going to have cell walls, you may have a capsid around it, you may have something from movement like cilia or flagella. You're going to have your ribosomes, your genetic material is going to be lying in the cytoplasm. You'll have ribosomes, and you may have what's known as plasmids. Now, that may seem like a lot, but it's really not compared to what you'll find in eukaryotic cells. Eukaryotic cells is where we'll find all of those membrane enclosed organelles. So in addition to the presence of the cell membrane, the cytoplasm, the ribosomes, the nucleus we just talked about, you also will have something called endoplasmic reticulum, or ER, and it can be rough ER or smooth ER. Rough ER is called rough ER because ribosomes dock on it. Ribosomes make proteins on the rough ER, and then that rough ER serves as a mode of transport for those proteins. Those proteins are the proteins that will exit the cell. You have the smooth ER. The smooth ER makes lipids, and it also detoxifies poisons. You have Golgi apparatus, sometimes called Golgi bodies, and their job is to sort, package, modify, and ship those proteins or lipids that need to leave the cell. The Golgi also makes vesicles called lysosomes, and lysosomes are like membrane sacs that contain digestive enzymes. Their job is to clean up the cell. A vesicle is just a sac-like structure, okay, that has something on the inside of it. So when I say vesicle, I'm speaking in general, but if I give that vesicle a name, like lysosome, then I'm talking about a sac-like structure with digestive enzymes on the inside. If I say it's a vacuole, that's a sac-like structure that is storing water, salt, and waste, and etc. So vacuoles and lysosomes are vesicles, but there are specific types of vesicles. What have I not? Oh, mitochondria and chloroplasts are special organelles. Not only do they have one membrane, they have two, and there are energy converters. So the chloroplast captures light energy and converts it to chemical energy in the bonds of foods, and then the mitochondria transforms that chemical energy in foods, because our cells can't use it, into the type of chemical energy our cells can use in the form of ATP. Cell wall. Cell walls are found on all cells except for all types of cells except for animal cells. So you can find it in all kingdoms. And the cell wall's job is structure and support. And I think that's all of the organelles. Nope. Cytoskeleton gives animal cells internal structure. Cilia and flagella are used for locomotion. Remember, the flagella moves like a snake, but the cilia moves like windshield wipers, so they have that crazy motion. Plasmids are little packets of DNA that you find in bacteria. And centrioles and centrosomes. Centrosomes aid in cell division. And in animal cells, there's an additional structure inside of the centrosome called a centriole. And since the centrosome aids in cell division, guess what the centriole does? Aids in cell division. All right, but centrioles are only found in animal cells, okay? Centrosomes are found in all types of cells. So now we're talking about the different types of cells, right? So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more in depth about those different types of cells. So what are the two types again? So I have a prokaryotic cell, or prokaryote, so I'm gonna write it up here. And then I may also have a what? A eukaryotic cell, or eukaryote. Okay. Now, we all know the main difference between these two is the presence or absence of a nucleus. Okay, which one has the nucleus? Eukaryote has a nucleus, right? And so a nucleus is going to actually separate the genetic information from the cytoplasm. It's enclosed inside of the cytoplasm. In a prokaryotic cell, though, the DNA actually lies in the cytoplasm, and the area where the DNA lies in the cytoplasm is called a nucleoid region. Okay? Don't confuse nucleoid region with nucleus. A nucleus implies that there is a membrane separating the DNA from the cytoplasm. A nucleoid region is just where the DNA is lying in the cytoplasm. So this would be a nucleoid region, but this would be a nucleus, okay? So a nucleus is actually separating the DNA from the cytoplasm, okay? Now, when we talk about prokaryotic cells, so prokaryotic cells.
So one of them has a tail and one of them doesn't?
Usually, okay, you can have some eukaryotic cells that have a flagella, but usually when people draw a prokaryote, we usually just throw the flagella on there. But there are eukaryotic cells that have a flagella, and this tells the flagella is used for motion. Think about the sperm cell. The sperm cell has a flagella on it, right? So you can find flagella in both prokaryotic and eukaryotic. So this is just like the normal depiction of the cell, so don't get that confused. All right, so when we talk about the types of organisms that have these type of cells, if I'm talking about prokaryotes, I'm going to be talking about bacteria, guys. Okay? And if I'm talking about bacteria, I'm talking about prokaryotic cells. That's all we're going to be talking about. If I say bacteria, I'm talking about a prokaryote. If I say a prokaryote, I'm talking about bacteria. Now, when it comes to eukaryotic cells, I can find eukaryotic cells in protists, Fungus,
Animals.
plants, and animals. Right. So these 4 kingdoms. So I have 4 kingdoms that would have eukaryotic cells: Protista, fungi, plantae, and animalia. Bacteria, there's two kingdoms of bacteria: Archaeobacteria and Eubacteria. What you need to know is if it's bacteria, is what type of cell? Prokaryotic, okay? If it's bacteria, it's prokaryotic, which means it does not have a nucleus, and it also will not have any membrane enclosed organelles. Another thing about prokaryotes is that they are all going to be unicellular. What does that mean? What does unicellular mean? One cell. These are single cell organisms. Now, when I think about eukaryotes, though, I have some eukaryotes that are unicellular and others that are multicellular. What are we?
Multicellular.
Right, we're multicellular, okay? So some eukaryotes are going to be unicellular, like you have some protists like Euglenia that are going to be unicellular, but then most of the eukaryotes we think about, because we think in terms of fungus and plants and animals, those are going to be multicellular organisms. So you have both types of organisms in the eukaryotes, okay? So what does that mean if I say they're eukaryotes?
That means that animal or a plant or a fungi or a protist or whatever.
What does it mean about the cells, though?
The unicellular.
The cells are going to have a nucleus. All right, now, if I'm thinking about size,
They're small and they're big.
prokaryotes are really, really small. They're microscopic, okay? Prokaryotes range from about 1 to 10 micrometers in size. And your eukaryotic cells are going to range from anywhere from 10 to 100, about 100 micrometers. So what that means to me is that the biggest prokaryotic cell is about the size as the smallest eukaryotic cell, okay? So my biggest prokaryote is going to be about the size as my smallest eukaryote. And the reason being is that these prokaryotic cells are simple cells. They do not have a lot of information inside of them. A lot of organelles inside of them. In fact, I already said, but we'll write it up here. There's going to be no membrane enclosed organelles. Do y'all know what I mean when I say a membrane enclosed organelle?
There's no membrane in the.
Okay, when we think about those cell organelles, a lot of the ones we talked about are actually just membranes with stuff on the inside of them that perform a specific job, okay? So that's what most of our organelles are. They're internal membranes that have something in them that do a specific job. Let's think about the nucleus. What is the nucleus? It's an internal membrane, a nuclear membrane with DNA on the inside of it, so it performs a specific job. Are y'all with me? So most of the organelles we talk about are membrane enclosed organelles. Now, ribosomes, of course, are an exception to that rule because ribosomes don't have a membrane around them. Ribosomes are simply RNA and protein. Most membranes are made of lipid, okay? Most membranes are made of lipid, mostly of lipids. What's RNA? Is a nucleic acid. What's protein? Well, protein is, of course, a protein. Remember, we have carbs, lipids, proteins, nucleic acids. The membranes are mostly lipids. So ribosomes do not have a lipid layer around them. They don't have a lipid bilayer surrounding them. So they, of course, can be found in prokaryotic cells. In fact, ribosomes can be found in both prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell. Now, if this is a difference between the two, if there's no membrane enclosed organelles in prokaryotes, then when we think about eukaryotes, that lets us know that we have what? What type of organelles? Membrane enclosed. Doesn't mean that's the only kind of organelles we have. That means in addition to membranes that don't have a membrane around them, we have ones that do. So let's look at the chart at the bottom of page 102. 5. Okay? Look at the chart at the bottom of page 105. Now, let's see if we can fill out this chart. So we're comparing prokaryotes to eukaryotes, okay? We're comparing prokaryotes to eukaryotes. Boop, my stuff's gone. Let's see if we can do it together. All right, so first category. Where are they found in? What are prokaryotes found in?
Bacteria.
Bacteria. What about eukaryotes? Protists, fungi, animals, and plants. All right, so we can find eukaryotic cells in protists, fungi, plants, and animals. All right, so now the kingdoms, right? So remember I told you there's 2 kingdoms of bacteria, archaeobacteria and eubacteria. What about eukaryotes? What are the 4 kingdoms I can find eukaryotic cells in? Think about what you said they were found in. Okay, so that means I have plantae. That's a kingdom. So there's a plant kingdom. What's the other one? Animalia. So that's the animal kingdom. Because remember they're found in animals. All right, what's the other one? Fungus. So the fungi kingdom. Fungi. They are fungi. All right, and what's the last one? Protists or protista. So they're found in the protista kingdom. Now, we're going to talk about each one of these kingdoms. Okay, we're going to talk about each one of these kingdoms individually and kind of figure out what's going on with these kingdoms. I always call, this is probably rude to the protists, but I call the protista kingdom the junk drawer.
The what?
The junk drawer.
Why?
Because the only thing members of the protist kingdom have in common is that they have eukaryotic cells. Why is that a kingdom? Because what happens is anything that was plant-like but wasn't a plant, so it couldn't go here, they put it here. It was plant-like, but it's not a plant. Anything that was animal-like, but it wasn't an animal, they put it here. Anything that was fungus-like, but it wasn't fungus, they put it here. So it was the catch-all. It was the kingdom that was created to put the things that didn't fit somewhere else. It's kind of like a plant, but it's not a plant. It's kind of like an animal, but yeah, you make a meal out of leftovers, right? So I call it the junk drawer because, everybody has this drawer in the house where you have everything organized and the stuff that just didn't fit anywhere, so you put it all in there one drawer. So that's what the protist kingdom is, all right? So let's, before we move on to that, on page 106, we didn't finish this one, I'm sorry. The average size. What's the average size of
1 to 10.
1 to 10 micrometers? That little symbol that you guys see, this right here, this means micro. Okay? And then this means meter, which is it's a distance measurement. So when you see it together, it's micrometer or micrometer. Okay? Micrometer. So that's what that means. So 1 to 10 micrometers. And let's see, I don't have a ruler up here. I thought I had one. I guess I don't. Somewhere around. Oh, here it is. Kind of give you a visual. Alright, and y'all know I'm half blind, right?
You are?
Not really. I just can't see well. Alright, so these are centimeters. Okay? So when you look at a ruler, on the metric side, you have the big lines represent centimeters. Y'all seen one of these before, right?
Yes.
The little lines in between are millimeters. And so if you put lines in between the millimeters from one small line to the next one, then you will get down to your micrometers. So they're really, 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 really small. Okay? So think of that little space in between these small lines and try to fit a bunch of lines in between it. Yeah. Not happening, right? Alright, so.
So you'll see the 10 as 1.
Huh?
I said you'll see the 10 as 1.
You won't see the 10 without a microscope, and a very, very good microscope. You won't see it at all. Not with the naked eye, anyway. In fact, On the tip of your writing utensil right now, it's about 1,000,000 bacteria just sitting there.
Oh, what's up, bacteria?
Talk to them. Tell them, hey. Tell them you hope they're the good kind. All right. So on page 106. Did we finish? We did. I keep trying to rush off, don't I? All right. Cell membrane. Do you find the cell membrane in prokaryotes? Yes. What about eukaryotes? I can't hear you. Yes. All cells must have a cell membrane. If there is no cell membrane, there is no cell. The purpose of the cell membrane, it is a barrier between the internal contents of the cell and the external environment. It controls what enters and exits that cell to help maintain homeostasis or help keep the environment inside stable. But if the cell membrane was not there, then there's nothing to separate the inside from the outside, so therefore you have no barrier and you have no cell, okay? A cell does not exist without a cell membrane. All right, next one, cell wall. Do eukaryotic cells have cell walls? Notice I said eukaryotic, except what? Except animal. So I can find cell walls in fungus and plants, plant-like and fungus-like protists as well, but any animals or animal-like protists would not have cell walls, okay? What about prokaryotes? Do they have a cell wall? I can't hear you. Yes. Yes, the only kingdom that is an absolute no on cell walls is the animal kingdom, okay? The only kingdom that is an absolute no on the presence of cell walls is the animal kingdom. All right, what about cytoplasm? You know, that stuff that holds organelles in place as the site of most of the metabolic activities. So that's where most things are being broken down or built up inside of the cell. What about the cytoplasm? Will I find that in prokaryotes? What about eukaryotes? That's right. That's one of the 4 things that you're going to find in all cells. And those 4 things, of course, are the plasma membrane, cytoplasm, genetic material, and ribosomes. You're going to find those in all types of cells, okay? So those 4 things, you need to remember that. What was those 4 things again?
Ribosomes, cataplasm, and...
Ribosome, cytoplasm, what else? Cell membrane and genetic material, right? So that genetic material, those are the 4 things you're going to find in all types of cells. Cell membrane, cytoplasm, ribosomes, genetic material. You need to make sure you know that. All right? You need to know that. Frontwards, backwards, sideways, in your sleep, when you're awake, on the test, on the quiz, when you're doing the homework, when we're working on it together. What are the 4 things that you will find in all cells?
Cell membrane, cytoplasm, ribosomes, and genetic material.
Okay, I can't hear anything coming from the back and very little coming from the front. It's all coming from like the middle of the classroom. So let's try that again. What are the 4 things that you should have in all cells? Go. Alright, so which one separates the inside of the cell from the outside of the cell? Cell membrane. Which one holds organelles in place and is the site of most metabolic activity? Cytoplasm. Which one is the information that has the... Okay, well, yeah, I said information, so they kind of gave it away, genetic information. Which one makes proteins? Ribosomes. Okay, those 4 things. Those are the 4 things to make sure you know we will find in all types of cells. So that brings us to the next thing, DNA. Will I have DNA in prokaryotic cells?
No.
Yes, we just said one of the 4 things was what? Genetic material. What is DNA? It stores and transmits your genetic information, right? So that's what DNA is. So what about our eukaryotic cells? Will we have genetic material there? We have DNA there. Yes, because all cells will have some type of genetic material. All right, next thing. Ribosomes.
Yeah.
Are there ribosomes in prokaryotes? What about eukaryotes? Okay, cool beans. Because ribosomes are found where?
Everywhere.
Well, not everywhere, but in all cells, right? All right, so what about the next thing on the list, which I'm trying to remember because I walked away? A nucleus. Nuclear membrane. Right, a nuclear membrane. Is there a nuclear membrane inside of a prokaryotic cell? No. Why not? What does it not have? Doesn't have a nucleus, right? So if I don't have a nucleus, would I have a nuclear membrane?
No.
Of course not. All right, what about eukaryotic cells?
Yes.
Yes, cool beans. All right, membrane enclosed organelles. Are there membrane enclosed organelles in prokaryotic cells? No. What are eukaryotic cells? Yes, because that's going to be my Golgi, my ER, my lysosomes, my vacuoles. Those things are membrane enclosed. Mitochondria, chloroplasts, right? These are membrane enclosed organelles. All right. A mode of locomotion. First of all, which organelles do locomotion? Flagella and cilia. Remember, cilia is the windshield wipers and flagella is the snake. So we got the tails and the hairs, right? The tails and the hairs. So, will prokaryotic cells have flagella or cilia? Yes. What about eukaryotic cells? Yeah, some eukaryotic cells actually do have cilia or flagella. So yes, we can find those modes of locomotion in both types of cells. Now we can come to page 106 that I kept trying to get to. You need your whiteboard and a dry erase marker for page 106. You need your whiteboard and a dry erase marker for page 106. You need your whiteboard and a dry erase marker for page 106. I know. You need your whiteboard and a dry erase marker for page 106. If somebody just say, what do we need? Y'all trying to make me cry or scream. What do you need for page 106? Dry erase marker and your whiteboards. Cool beans. All right, everybody check your marker right now. Make sure it writes. What's that? I can. I didn't say I will. I said I can. Because you got to have some clean table off that room. My mama told me you better shop around. I should have listened, Lord. I should have listened. Is that a poster on my table? I wonder where that came from. Uh-oh. Sorry, sweetie. Y'all should have some things out here somewhere. All right, so you are going to write on your board the letter A if it applies to prokaryotes only, the letter B if it applies to eukaryotes only, and the letter C if it applies to both. We're going to be moving kind of fast, so I'm going to say write your answer, and then I'll say show your answer. Please refrain from showing your answer until I ask you to do so. I need everyone to raise your whiteboards in my direction so that I can see your response when it is time. So we're going to start with the very first one, and that is contains DNA. Contains DNA. Write your answers. Write your answers. A for prokaryotes only, B for eukaryotes only, and C for both. All right, show me your answers. Awesome sauce. Charlie is correct. Cool beans. Cool beans. Awesome, guys. All right, the next one contains mitochondria. Mitochondria, the mighty mitochondria, the energy converter that converts the stored chemical energy found in sugars or foods into ATP, adenosine triphosphate, that cell energy that the cell can actually utilize. All right.
I thought you were going to go fast.
Write your answer. I do when I say write your answer. Show your answers. All right, guys, the correct answer is bravo. Bravo. We find those in our eukaryotic cells, in our eukaryotic cells only. Eukaryotic cells. Here you go, Zion. Catch it. Whoops. Hey, I ain't break nothing. Get that. So you can write your answers on your board. All right. I almost made it. So you just gonna leave it there, Zion? Or you gonna get? Oh, you moving slow like me today, huh? I got a reason. What's yours? I thought I smelled corn chips. All right. Anyway, the next one. Have a cell membrane. So it has that organelle that controls what enters and exits the cell. Have a cell membrane. Write your answer. Show your answers. Show me one answer at a time, Muhammad. I can't read that little right. You know I can't see that well. All right, Charlie is correct, guys. Good job. Charlie is correct. All right. Next one. Have ribosomes within the cytoplasm. Have ribosomes within the cytoplasm. Ribosomes within the cytoplasm. Write your answer. Has those little organelles that make proteins. Show your answer. Ooh, that one should have been Charlie, guys. Remember, ribosomes is one of the four. Good job, Elijah, on that. Ribosomes is one of the four that I'm going to find in both cells. Now, had it said ribosomes on the ER, then it would have been eukaryotes only. But it said in the cytoplasm, and all cells have cytoplasm, and where else would the ribosomes be in prokaryotes, right? Except in the cytoplasm. All right, more complex. Which cells are more complex?
Oh, I got it.
Which cells are more complex? Write your answer. Show your answer. Bravo. Bravo. The correct answer is bravo. All right. Have a nucleus. Have a nucleus. Have a nucleus.
1 second.
One. Write your answer.
It's so hard. I need to think about it.
Show your answers. All right. The correct answer. Good job overall. Bravo. Can a prokaryotic cell have a nucleus? No. What does pro mean? Before. What does pro mean? Class. What does pro mean? Before. And karyote is nucleus. So the word prokaryote means before the nucleus. It cannot have one. It came about before. All right. Contains DNA in a nucleus. Contains DNA in a nucleus. Write your answer. Show your answers. All right, we caught that one. That bravo. Why? Because where was the DNA? In the nucleus, right. Okay. Best represents bacterium. Best represents a bacterium.
Oh, what was it?
Write your answer.
Oh, yeah.
Show your answers. Awesome sauce. Awesome sauce. The correct answer is A. That would be your prokaryotes. Now I have others. Just because it's not on the page doesn't mean we're not going to do it. All right. Has DNA in the cytoplasm. DNA in the cytoplasm. DNA in the cytoplasm. Write your answers. Show your answers. Alpha. Alpha. Where's the DNA in a eukaryotic cell? In the nucleus. It is not in the cytoplasm. It is in the nucleus. All right. All right, guys. Good job. Good job. Good job. All right, now put those up.
I thought you said you had more.
That was the last one. My brain said, nope, that's all we got, bro. All right, now let's look at the different kingdoms, okay? So remember I told you there was 2 kingdoms of prokaryotes.
I was disappointed.
I'm sorry. I hate to disappoint you. But we got 15 minutes, well, a little bit more than 15 minutes, like 20-something minutes before lunch. So,
Oh,
all
no.
right. there's two kingdoms of prokaryotes. The first one,
The bacteria,
archaeobacteria.
what else?
The next one is eubacteria. Key word here is what? Bacteria. All right, we have the ancient bacteria and we have true bacteria. So when we think of true bacteria, we're thinking about the bacteria that we're used to, the ones that we know more about, like the strep that cause strep throat, or the staph that causes staph infection, or E. coli that can give you diarrhea if it's in the wrong part of your body, right? So E. coli 0157 can kill you. Not all E. coli does that though. E. coli 0157 can though. All right, so now one thing we should know about both of these, because they're prokaryotes, are they unicellular or are they multicellular?
Unicellular.
They're unicellular because prokaryotes are unicellular. Now, the archaeobacteria are what we like to call extremophiles. Okay? These are called extremophiles because, because these are the bacteria that live in areas that will kill normal bacteria. So they can withstand extreme cold or extreme heat or extreme salinity. They exist in areas that normal bacteria would not be able to exist in. So,
What's acidity?
what's what, sweetie?
You said extreme heat,
Extreme heat, salinity. So that's salt concentration. When I talk about salinity, I'm talking about the concentration of salt. Okay? So they're going to be found in extreme conditions. Now, another difference between these bacteria and these is what the cell walls are made of. All right? So they have cell walls. But their cell walls are going to be made of some uncommon lipids. Now, our other friends down here, their cell walls, big word coming at you. Their cell walls are made of what we call peptidoglycan. I'm writing it down. Okay, the cell walls of eubacteria are going to be made of peptidoglycan. So that's one difference between the two. In addition to these existing in extreme conditions that these would not be able to exist in, you also have the difference in the cell walls. The cell walls of archaeobacteria are made of uncommon lipids, whereas the cell walls of eubacteria are made of peptidoglycan. You need to make sure you know the difference between those two. Any questions about that? All right. So, next we're going to talk about our eukaryotes. Almost did it successfully. Now, in the eukaryotic world, we have how many kingdoms? 4. There's 4 kingdoms. I'm looking for my eraser. There it is. There's 4 kingdoms. Okay? Not 2, but 4.
Kingdom which has the son of the lion.
Has the son of the lion. You also exist in the animal kingdom because you're a part of that kingdom.
Yeah.
All right, so
It has the son of Muhammad.
it does. Muhammad don't have a son yet, huh? The future son of Muhammad will be in the animal kingdom.
No, the son.
Oh, the sign. I thought you said the son. I was like, whoa. No, let's not go there. All right, so first kingdom, we're going to talk about Protista, which I refer to as the what? The junk drawer. Now, one thing about Protista, most of them are going to be unicellular, but not all of them. Okay? You have some unicellular, you have some multicellular, but most of them are going to be unicellular. So you're going to have your cell membrane, the nucleus. Some of them will have chloroplast. Guess which ones will have chloroplast? The ones that are plant-like, right, will have chloroplast. Many are going to live in water, and they have what's called contractile vacuoles. Now, what's a vacuole?
Vacuum.
It's a storage container. It stores what? Water, waste, and stuff like that, right? But a contractile vacuole is a vacuole that has the ability to squeeze and release. Because if I live in water and I'm a single cell, if too much water gets inside, what's going to happen to me?
Blow up.
Blow up until you do what? Pop. So a contractile vacuole helps to maintain the correct osmotic pressure or water pressure by pumping out excess water. Okay, so not only does it store water, but it also has the ability to pump out excess water to prevent that cell from swelling and lysing or bursting. Okay. They also have one of 3 modes of locomotion. Locomotion, one of 3 modes. So when we talk about the locomotion, what is locomotion used for, first of all?
For locomotion.
What does that mean? What does that mean? Movement. All right. So they have 3 ways to move. We know about 2. We know about the cilia. How does cilia move? Like what? Windshield wipers.
And one like a snake.
We know about the flagella, that moves like a snake. But the other one is called a pseudopod. Fake foot. Pseudopod. Pseudo means fake. Pod, like a foot, right? So what it does with that pseudopod is it actually expands around things and pulls itself. So it's like a fake foot. So it actually moves itself, okay? That's just like the cell membrane going out and then pulling.
Oh.
So it's a fake foot. So protists have 3 modes of locomotion: cilia, flagella, and pseudopod. All right. The next kingdom. Well, look on that page. Look on page 107. And I want to draw your attention to paramecium, euglena, and amoebas. Okay. These are single cell organisms. These are protists. So if you see a picture of one of these, you should know that these are eukaryotes. If you should see a picture, right? So if you say, for instance, you had a question, it was like, which one of these is a prokaryotic cell? But if you see these, what do you notice? They all have a nucleus. You don't see DNA in the cytoplasm. So even though they're unicellular, they have their DNA separated from the rest of the cell in a nucleus, so they are eukaryotic and they are protists. Now the next kingdom is fungus or fungi.
He's a funny guy.
He's a funny guy. Oh, I forgot to mention this. The cell walls. The cell walls, and you need to know what the cell walls of all these are made of, okay? Are usually the ones that have cell walls is made of something called pectin. If they have a cell wall, if a protist has a cell wall, it's usually going to be made of something called pectin. All right, the next one is our fungi. They're not unicellular, they are multicellular. Can you name a fungus? Mushrooms, right? Mushrooms. There are some fungus though that are unicellular. Can you name a unicellular fungus? Pollen is not a fungus. Pollen is found in plants, so it's eukaryotic. Some people cook with it to make their bread rise. Yeast. Yeast is a fungus, and yeast is a unicellular fungus. So they can be multicellular or they can be unicellular. It just depends on which type you're talking about. They're going to have a cell membrane, a nucleus, mitochondria, ribosomes. Most of them are even going to have ER and Golgi, okay? Now, they have cell walls, and those cell walls, remember I told you to focus on making sure you know what the cell walls are made of. Cell walls are made of chitin. Where have you seen that before?
In the animals.
It's a what? It's a structure for animals, And which one of those macromolecules was that though? Carbohydrates. So here you go right here, right? Not only can it be found in the exoskeleton of arthropods, it's also used to make the cell wall of fungi, some fungi. All right, so chitin.
That's kind of funny, taking the stuff from the animals to the fungi.
Or did the animals take it from the fungus?
Yeah.
You never know. Some examples would be, we talked about yeast. Another example would be mold, mildew, mushrooms. Okay, those are all fungus. Yes?
What is slime mold?
It's just a type of mold that's slimy. I don't know how else to describe it. Let's see. So that's two, right? Those are the two most uncommon ones. What are the other two kingdoms? Plant and what? And animals, right? We pretty much know about plants and animals, but you know, just for all intents and purposes, to make sure, just in case somebody in here has never heard of a plant or an animal, it's probably me if it's going to be anybody that don't know what's going on up here, right?
I'm next to you.
I'm sure. It's you two? You two? Just me and you, we don't know what that is? Plants and animals? I believe it. Y'all know I don't be knowing. Alright, so, the plant kingdom. Alright, so do you think the members of the plant kingdom are going to be unicellular or multicellular?
Multicellular.
Multicellular. Alright, so these are multicellular. And one of the things that we love the most about these members of this kingdom is that they are what we call autotrophs. Yes, they self-nourish, okay? Vocabulary. Auto means self, troph, nourish. They self-nourish. That means that they have the ability to capture energy from the sun. Hey, Eli, how you doing? What you doing? They have the ability to capture energy from the sun and then store that energy and transform it into chemical energy, right? And then they use their mitochondria to transform it into ATP. They self-nourish. Can we go outside and go photosynthesis, 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 and then make our own sugars so that our bodies can break it down for energy? Don't try that. You will starve to death. We don't have that muscle. All right, so we can't do that. So plants, and it's not a muscle, by the way, it's an organelle. I just thought but plants have which organelle that allows them to self-nourish? Which organelle is responsible for this ability? Chloroplast. All right, chloroplast is the organelle. Chlorophyll is the pigment inside of the organelle. Okay, so they have chloroplast. They also have cell walls. What are plant cell walls made of? You better know this. Cellulose. All right, yes. Plant cell walls are made of cellulose. That's another one of our carbohydrate polysaccharides that we talked about in the last unit. Plant cell walls are made of cellulose. Our last kingdom is the animal kingdom. Animalia. Multicellular or unicellular? I don't know what y'all talking about. I'm unicellular. Shoot, I'm just playing. All right, multicellular. Multicellular. Autotrophic or heterotrophic? Heterotrophic, all right? So animals are heterotrophic. And so, vocabulary, hetero means what?
You make it.
Different. Hetero means different, right? We've heard hetero before. And what did I tell you troph means? Nourish. So these organisms get their nourishment in different ways. Some only eat plants, some only eat animals, some eat plants and animals. Okay? So they get their nourishment in different ways. But the key is they must eat. They cannot get their nourishment by standing outside in the sun going photosynthesis. Photosynthesis. I think I'm going to wear green tomorrow and just stand outside and see if I can photosynthesize something to eat. What'd you say, Malik? What'd you say, Mom? I'm going to call you Malik. Who is Malik?
I don't know.
Me either. All right, now,
probably a famous name, like me.
Do I need to put anything up here about cell walls?
Yeah.
Really?
No.
No, because they have what? No cell
Wow.
walls. Okay? There's no cell walls found in animal cells. All right? No cell walls found in animal cells. So let's look at a little bit closer the cells of plants and animals. So I'm going to put plant cells over here. And I'm going to put animal cells over here. And let's talk about the differences between, what are the 3 C's? What are the 3 things I can find in a plant cell that I will not find in an animal cell? Cell wall, that's one. Chloroplast is the other.
And
I heard somebody start to say it. What? It's a central vacuole. So that's that large vacuole. Okay, a central vacuole. Some things I will find in animal cells but not in plant cells would be lysosomes, although some scientists believe that some plants have lysosomes, and cytoskeleton, as well as
I know we have to remember.
centrioles. Okay? So, make sure you know which organelles are only found in plant cells and which organelles are found only in animal cells. Now, when it comes to all other organelles, such as the nucleus, the mitochondria, ribosomes, both ERs, Golgi, transport vesicles, mitochondria, chloroplast, I already said, no, not chloroplast, Lord, not chloroplast, mitochondria though, all right? They're found in both. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
No, ma'am.
Cool beans. So, you should be able to complete the activity on page 108. And before we go to lunch, though, we need to, have we already done page 103 and 104?
Yeah, we did.
I know I did them in some classes. I don't know if I did in this one.
No, we didn't.
We didn't do 103 and 104. All right, so you guys are going to complete the statement. Let's do 103 first. This is the one that you had the flaps for, that you were supposed to glue or tape over the top so it has the name of the organelle on top. It's just a way for you to study. So you look at the organelle, you say the function, and then you check yourself by raising the flap to see what the function is. But first, let's make sure we have those complete. All right, so cell membrane.
Controls what comes out and comes in.
Okay. Structure found in cells. It is essential in maintaining homeostasis by controlling what enters and exits, as we have already been told, what goes out and what comes in. That's called cellular transport, guys. When we talk about cell transport, we're talking about what goes in and what comes out of a cell, not the cell itself moving. Going across to smooth and rough ER. The smooth ER contains enzymes that aid in cell function. The rough ER is responsible for transporting proteins. It acts like a road of the cell. Acts like a road of the cell. Nucleus and nucleolus. The nucleus is the boss of the cell. It holds the what? DNA. Good job. Instructions for making proteins. The nucleolus is the center of the nucleus where what's made? Ribosomes. All right. Small vacuole, also known as a vesicle, they are used as blank and transportation vesicles to move materials in and out of the cell. Smaller ones are found in animal cells. What's that word? What's the missing word? Storage. I need more than one person talking to me right now.
Okay, 1 second.
All right. Golgi bodies responsible for blank and packaging proteins. Okay, you can put shipping, or what else could you put? Modifying. All right.
Shipping.
But you want to make sure you know them all. You want to know all functions.
Oh, no.
All right, cell wall. Thick, rigid outer wall found in plants but not animal cells. It provides blanket protection for the cell. Structure or support. Either one of those works there. Centrioles, structures found in animal cells that aid in. What do centrioles aid in?
Citrus.
Do. Eli, what do centrioles aid in?
Yeah, you like?
Muhammad, what do centrioles aid in?
Need of English.
Oh, don't use that now. You've been speaking perfect English the whole block. All right, cell division, guys. Cell division. All right, responsible for blank the cell by getting rid of waste found in animal cells only. Note, some scientists believe they are found in plant cells but rarely visible. What are they? What's the missing word?
Trash.
Cleaning.
Yeah.
Cleaning. Lysosomes clean. Remember, Lysol is used for cleaning. Lysosomes clean the cell, clean animal cells. All right, large vacuoles. So if a small vacuole is used for storage, then what's a large vacuole used for? It's a large what? Compartment. What? Large what? No. Large what? Storage. Large storage compartment. You got me saying department now. Chloroplast. Chloroplast is a site of photosynthesis. It is found in plant cells but not in animal cells.
Photosynthesis. How do you spell that?
Photo, thesis.
I don't know, but I spelled the best I can.
There you go. Do you know what it means? Do you know what it said? Can you look at it and see photosynthesis? Photosynthesis. That's how you go. Every time y'all see photosynthesis, y'all gonna see me going, photosynthesis. I'm in your brain. All right, mitochondria. The energy conversion organelle responsible for making what? ATP. Making ATP. And ribosomes are responsible for making what? Proteins. All right, guys, we will start off next class. We will do page 104. Make sure when you come back, because I will be checking, you've done pages 108 and 109.
Huh?
And go eat lunch.
I'm so hungry.
Really? Yeah. Wait, y'all want me to turn my phone on? I gotta knock my phone down. I'm gonna cry. You gonna be in the video? Ain't no picture.